Well, we're here with a great friend of mine. I tell you, it's really an interesting person that I will have tonight on the show because we basically grew up together in different corners. He played for the University of Tennessee, and I played for Auburn. And man, I tell you what, Anthony Hancock. Man, it's a blessing to have you on the show. I really appreciate you being here. You just don't know how close we came to being teammates. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I really had every intentions of going to Tennessee because my best friend at the time, matter of fact, we grew up right up the street from each other, Kelsey Finch, and
Yes.
Kelsey and I we played at the same high school, and man, I had every intentions of coming up there and being where he is, and I went up on my visit and really had too good of a time. And I said, man, if I come up here, I'll never make it, man. so, but Auburn really did a good job of recruiting me, and I ended up signing with Auburn. But Anthony Hancock, who played wide receiver for Kansas City Chiefs, he was a first-round draft pick for him, and played 5 seasons with the Chiefs, retiring in '86. Played at the University of Tennessee, leading the school in receiving in 3 consecutive seasons. Came out of Tennessee, played in high school in Tennessee. Your stats, I'm going to give you a few of your stats, man. You were two-time second team All SEC at Tennessee, 1980 and 1981. Yeah, you had 73 NFL receptions with 1,266 yards, 5 touchdowns, and had just a great career. But now, man, I'm just really proud and honored to have you on the show, man. There's a whole lot more stuff that I could add to that, but I kind of want to get into talking to you, man. It's just a great privilege to have you here. Thank you for being here.
I am so thankful that you have reached out to me, and we've been friends for a long period of time. And this is just a great. And matter of fact, every time you read those stats, I'm like, Dad, did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? Yeah, yeah. But it's been wonderful. I also ran track at the University of Tennessee.
That's right. That's
And
right.
yes, yeah, I was three-time All-American. We held the world's record
That's
for
right.
28 years. SEC champion indoors.
That's right.
So Coach Majors and Coach Huntsman was the track coach during the time period.
Yeah.
Allowed us to participate in these two sports.
Yeah.
And that's how I was hurling. So that's one way to get our spring practice.
Yeah.
But it was all good. It was. And I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally also.
That's right. Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes,
That's
Cleveland,
right.
Ohio, yes. That's the story behind that also, how I got to be Tennessee from Cleveland. But we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, man, our careers are mirrored because you were playing football. I was playing football. I got there in 80. I got to Auburn in 77. You got to Tennessee in 78.
78, yes.
Okay, so our careers really mirrored because I ran track also. Coach Rosen
Yes. Yes.
allowed me to run track. He said if you score, the football coach said if you can score in the SEC meet, you can keep running.
That's
And so I
right.
think I finished my freshman year. I think I finished like second in the long jump.
Okay.
And so Jason Grimes was jumping with you.
Jason Grant. So
Yeah.
you also have Harvey Glance there too,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was on the 4x1. And
So I think Mel Latney was Alabama, wasn't he?
Mel Latney was Georgia.
Alabama. Oh,
Was it?
Georgia, you're right.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
Georgia. James Mallard was Alabama. Big
Okay.
dude, big sprinter.
Yeah.
And so after scoring in that first year, man, I was allowed to stay, and so I got a chance to miss spring workouts too. I got a chance to miss winter and spring workouts too. That was a blessing, wasn't it?
It was. But they still made it. They kind of split it up. They let us go part of practice and football, and then
Yeah.
let us go to track.
Yeah, but
It
I
was all
think,
good.
but the winter workouts, man, it was a blessing to miss that because I heard they
Oh,
were
yes.
torturing guys over there in the wintertime. They put them in a hot room with weights and stuff and just worked them till they just couldn't stand it.
Yes.
But just a real privilege, man, to see you because a lot of people don't know this, but I use you as a sounding board for my son Bradley, who's a hurdler right now, and he's a freshman
Hmm.
at Stanford, and of course, in high school, I was calling you
Yeah.
and texting
I
you and
remember.
asking you questions, man. And so I
I
so
think
much appreciate you.
Roland James too, right? Roland
Roland,
James.
yeah, Roland James
Yeah.
too, man.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like I'm really connected, man, with you
But
guys.
your son has just blossomed. I mean, I've been watching him since actually get started with him,
Yeah,
and he's very disciplined in terms
yeah,
of, I wouldn't say following instructions,
yeah,
but his mannerism in terms of willingness to learn and become
yeah,
better and
yeah,
get better.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned about your son, and every time I watched this meet, I found so ironic with the fact that every time I saw him run, I have yet to see him hit a hurdle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that in itself, takes 0.5 seconds off your run when you're
That's right.
running.
That's right.
He has yet to hit, except all of the events that I've seen thus far, I have yet to see him hit a hurdle.
Well, he did, believe it or not, he hit a hurdle in Penn, at Penn,
Okay.
for the outdoor, Under Armour outdoor nationals, and
Okay.
was leading when he hit it, and gave up first place because he hit like number 6 or number 7, but
Right.
he set the meet record in the prelims
Wow.
and came back, and he hit a hurdle and so it's happened to him. But for the most part, yeah, he runs. The thing I always say to him, man, just run good, clean races. Just
Yeah, he
run,
does.
just run good,
Yes.
clean races, and everything else will take care of itself. So
And your other son plays football too, right?
yeah, Brandon is my middle son, and he plays football at UAB. He's
Okay.
a middle linebacker. He'll be a junior this year. He'll graduate in December, actually, ahead of time. So he'll have his junior year this year, and then an additional year after that. And just really, really proud of him, man. He's made the transition from running back to linebacker. He's about 6'1", 6'1" and a half, 225, and so he's making that transition. But you had to make that transition too. You were running back in high school, weren't you?
I sure was running back and converted to wide receiver. So before we get started, you know what? Your boy Antonio Langham
Yeah,
from Alabama.
yeah,
Now, you and I, the last time we were together, him and I, along with some other guys at the NFL conference we had back in early part of March,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you got to Jones. If you don't join, you ain't an athlete. It got to roll up your back. It got to roll up your back like, like water.
That's
Do
right.
not take it personal, right? So,
And y'all
do
and
not take
Alabama, Tennessee, I know y'all were doing it.
man. If you can't laugh about it, man. If you get
Yeah,
mad, you in trouble.
yeah.
In history, right? So were you in the 3-point stand when you were playing?
Yes.
So was I.
Them guys don't know. They don't know anything about that,
Well,
man.
but you know what? You know what? This guy, he said that if he had a line up against me,
Yeah,
and I was in 3-point stand, he said he would quit football. He said he would quit football.
yeah.
He would quit football and never play again if he let me out the line of scrimmage in 3-point stand. I said, that's the way it was then. He said,
That's
man,
right.
ain't no way in the world you would have got the line of scrimmage and 3-point stand.
That's
And we
right.
laugh about that, man. I mean,
But but
it's
but
so
it
funny.
it was
It's hilarious.
but see, there was no real bump and run in those days. They didn't really play
Yeah,
bump
that's
and
true.
run. They didn't really play bump and run in college when we were playing in the 70s, man, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, it may
Right.
have rolled in a little bit later, but by that time I was gone. I didn't come off the line in an upright stance until I got to Buffalo.
Okay.
And I was
Yeah, I was like,
I was a running back in high school too. So I was a running back in
okay.
high school. I got converted to receiver when I got to Auburn. And man, you know what? It was just, it's just that time of transition for the game. The game, man, just imagine how many catches we would have now, man, if we were playing college.
We were very disciplined. When I was talking about being running back, so grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Um, my role model was Archie Griffin,
Yeah. Oh
two-time
wow.
Heisman Trophy winner, right?
Oh
So
wow.
I was a Buckeye fan. You
Yeah,
had
yeah,
Archie Griffin, John Havlicek,
yeah,
uh, Jack Tatum,
yeah,
Jesse Owens. I mean,
yeah,
I'm from Cleveland. Why would I
yeah,
not
yeah.
be a Ohio
That's
Buckeye
that's
fan,
right.
right?
That's right.
So when I was being recruited, Coach Majors was recruiting me,
Yeah,
and Coach Woody Hayes called me up February 14th,
yeah,
and I said, I'm going to go to the University of Tennessee.
yeah.
So the next day, my third period class, the athletic director comes in the room and says, Woody Hayes and John Hicks are in the building. Now,
Wow.
John Hicks was taking the Heisman Trophy behind John Capoletti back in 72. And he
Yeah,
was in my high school.
yeah,
They said, well, he in the building looking for you. I said, no, I talked to Coach Hayes last night. He's in Columbus, Ohio. He said,
yeah.
no, he's in the building looking for you. When the bell rang, the missed classes, coming to the left side of the hall was Woody Hayes and John Hicks coming down the hall. And the
Wow.
kids were just scattered all over the place. They were excited. They was all over the place. They
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
believe it.
Oh yeah.
On the right side came
Ohio's.
Coach Majors and Bob Harrison from Tennessee. So I'm thinking 17 years old, I think I'm doing something wrong because we had these two legendary coaches, and I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Um, The athletic director did not allow Coach Majors or Woody Head to talk to me.
Yeah.
But he allowed Bob Harrison. He said, listen,
yeah.
Coach Majors' first recruit from his 78 recruiting class.
Yeah.
He signed you first. And then John Hicks said, listen, the old man know he didn't recruit you right, but you ain't got nothing to worry about. We know your father in the hospital. Don't worry about anything.
Yeah.
We got you covered.
Yeah.
So eventually I signed with Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I get to Knoxville, right? 15 running backs. James Berry, Frank Fox, Kelsey Finch, Mark Mario, the water boy, the manager.
the manager? Equipment manager?
Equipment manager. I was like, what in the world happened? I thought I was the only one they recruited.
Right.
So I'm not playing. I'm not seeing September, August, September, come October. I'm not seeing nothing. I'm calling home every day saying, I want to come home.
Yeah.
I'm not playing. I'm not even getting on the doggone practice squad.
Yeah.
So we had a game against Carson Newman, junior varsity. At the time, they had junior varsity.
Yeah.
So I played the junior varsity game that Monday night.
Yeah.
I scored 4 touchdowns. Came back from the Carson Newman game. They said, Coach Majors, him and Bob Harrison met me off the bus. I said, yeah. He said, well, have you ever thought about, changing positions? I said, changing position because I went number 28. I said, well, no. He said, well, is it a chance to make the, traveling squad?
Travel
squad?
He said,
sure. So they said, we'll go to practice. I said, Coach, I just played the game. Anyway, I went to practice. Tuesday, we didn't have practice. Wednesday and Thursday, traveling squad came out. My name was on the traveling squad.
Wow.
I said, oh, man, I made the traveling squad. They must be high five because,
yeah.
I've been there almost 2 months.
Yeah.
I was this first time I made traveling squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So traveling squad that Friday, go to the hotel before the game, prime rib, go to a movie. Next day, police escort, Neyland Stadium, run out of stadium, 86,000 people.
Yep.
I'm just chilling, right?
Yep.
So I'm in the third quarter just chilling, on the bench, watching the game.
Yeah.
We're playing University of Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Conference game. He said, Anthony, get ready. I said, get ready for what? Ready to go in the game. I said, get on the game. Get out of here, right? I jump up, and I'm running on the field, right? And Jimmy Streeter is doing like this.
Jimmy Streeter, yeah.
I don't have a helmet on. I don't have a helmet on. So my roommate is Kenny Jones.
Yeah.
Kenny Jones is 6'5", 300 pounds from Stratford.
Yeah.
He was the number 2 recruit.
Yeah.
So he gives me his helmet, right? So I'm in a helmet. I'm in the first game in college football playing University of Alabama
with a bucket on
50-yard line. I said, man, that's Bear Bryant over there. I'm trying to put this big watermelon helmet.
Big bucket on.
He had a spider helmet face mask. His mouthpiece going around. I ain't gonna put it in my mouth, right?
Man.
So I go out there, 3-point stand, like you said, right? I got the big watermelon helmet on.
Yeah.
I said, 19 quick screen left. Okay. I looked over there. Man, I'm on the left side. Oh man, what do I do?
The ball finna come to you.
Or 2 steps forward, right? So I look in to see what the ball is. The helmet is so big, I had to look through the ear hole. Because my head ain't turning it. My head turned, but the helmet stays straight.
Yeah.
So I'm turning my head, like the helmet staying straight, and I'm looking through the ear hole. I'm closing one eye, and I'm looking at the ball through one eye through the ear hole.
Yeah.
So the ball snapped, caught it, did my Muhammad Ali shuffle.
Yeah.
Caught it, went 19 yards.
Wow.
Went to the sideline. By this time, all the freshmen, everybody getting up and giving me high five.
Oh, yeah.
They give me my helmet.
Yeah.
Put my helmet on, go back in, same play again, 18 yards. Go back, call it a quick slant. Somebody tipped it, caught it in the air, scored. No, got 2-yard line. Hubert Simpson scored the next play.
Wow.
3 catches, 51 yards. That's how my college career started.
2 quick screens and a slant.
That's right. And you know what? and the thing about it, come spring practice,
yeah,
I was a freshman. Everybody else was a senior.
Wow.
So I walked into a starting position for the next 3 years just by changing positions.
Wow. And
that's how it happened.
That's crazy, man.
That's crazy. I went to the 15 running back to the 1-1 receiver just by changing positions.
Just by changing
That's why I went 28. So Willie Gault came in the next year.
Woo!
Willie said, why you wear 28? Well, he said, I'm going to wear 22. Clyde Duncan came in.
Yeah.
Why you wearing 28, 22? Okay, we're going to wear 24. Now, these are receivers now. Instead of being the 80 series, they all started with, Lenny said, you know what? I'm going to start wearing 2. So they all started wearing this 20 series.
Yeah.
Well, I know Stanley Morgan had 21 at one time.
That's right. He had 21. That's right.
He was a wingback during that time period.
That's right.
So that's how it started.
Yeah.
That's how it
Well,
started.
let me tell you
Yeah.
this. Let me add to the story. I commit to Auburn. One day later, I'm at the school, and I normally go to study hall. I'll go out to the field house, and just kind of mess around and stuff. But really, what I was doing was at study hall, I would go say I'm going to the field house, and the coaches were always there, and they would let you go wherever you want. So I would go get in my car and ride around town. I'd be riding around town during the middle of school day, and they just hanging out. People would be like, "What you doing? What you doing here, man?" I said, "It's study hall, man. I'm good." This one time, I come back from riding around town because I knew study hall was about over. Coach comes walking around the corner and said, "Man, where you been? You been out?" He said, "You need to go to the office right now." And I said, "Oh man, I'm fixing to get in trouble." Now my dad was a coach at the school, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
finna get in trouble at school with the principal. That means I'm
Oh,
finna get
yeah.
in trouble at home. So I'm
Oh,
thinking,
yeah,
oh
definitely.
man. So I walk into the area where the principal's office is, and people are crowded around the principal's office. And they just pointed to me and told me to get in there. And so I walk in, the secretary points in the principal's office and tell me to go in there. I said, "Man, this is bad, man. Everybody finna see me get in trouble." Walk in, who's in there? Johnny Majors. Johnny Majors is flown in, and he's on the phone. He's got his feet kicked up on the desk. He's on the phone. He just tells me to sit down, sit down. And so I'm sitting there, and I knew exactly who he was because watch this. They just won the national championship.
76 Pittsburgh. Tony Dorsett. Yeah.
Tony Dorsett was like you saying that Archie Griffin was your guy.
Yeah.
Tony Dorsett was my guy. He was my
33.
idol. He was my idol, man. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, man, wow, man, I just committed to Auburn. Here's the head coach of my idol right here. I'm thinking, oh man. So he gets off the phone. He says, "Byron, how you doing?" He said, "I hear you committed to Auburn, but listen, I watched your film." And he said, "I watched it for about 5 minutes." And he said, "That guy reminds me of Tony." He said, "That guy reminds me of Tony Dorsett." He said, "I remind him of my idol." He couldn't have known. He couldn't have known that that was my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when he said that, man, I was like, "Oh man." He said, "You remind me of Tony." And he said Tony was about 180 pounds when he first came out of high school, and that's about where I was. And he said, "I want to do the same thing with you that I did with Tony." I was like, "Oh man." I'm taking the pressure. Oh man. So I'm sitting there, and by that time, my dad walks in. And he said, "Mr. Franklin, how you doing? My name is Johnny Majors." He said, "Listen," he said, "I understand Byron is committed to Auburn. Is there any way we can get him to change his mind?" And he said that, and I got to thinking, oh, wait a minute now, it's an opportunity. But no, he said, my dad said, that's his decision, and I'm just going to follow him and let him make the decision on his own. And so I told him, I said, "I think I'm going to stick with my decision to go to Auburn." And so that's how close. Watch this. That's how close you and I almost became teammates.
Wow.
That's how
Wow.
close, man.
That close. I know that's right.
It was that close. And so, and remember, Kelsey was already there, so I was already
He
kind of
was.
leaning toward Tennessee because of him. And we lived on the same street. And so
I
it's
think, yes,
amazing.
I think your homeboy still has the record for 99 yards
Yes,
longest run in
sir. Yes,
Tennessee.
sir. 99
Yeah.
yards. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, yes.
So anyway, man, we catching up, but we could talk about a lot of other things. But I want to
Oh
get
my
it.
gosh.
I want to get into a couple of things that I always like to try to do when I have the opportunity to talk to some guys. And one of them is I want to talk to you about the challenge of your transition out of the game and some of the hard places. I want to talk about some hard places because I recognize that it was a challenge, first of all, in my own life, and then I recognize the challenge for a lot of other guys. And this is ministry for me to try to get with other people to see this. And it's not just football; it's in every part of life. I my
Right,
my, my slogan is everything is football, and it's always game time. And
right.
so it really is designed to help anybody going through change and transition. But tell me a little bit about the transition for you.
I think that first and foremost, it was the fact that I had supportive parents and family.
Yeah.
My mother was an ordained minister,
Yeah.
and my father was a
Wow.
worker,
Oh,
worked for a motor company.
yeah.
And we raised, my mother met my father, and she had three children. He had one. And
Wow.
then he had one child, and we ended up having a total of seven people in our family, seven children.
Yeah.
And it was just blue collar, hardworking family who support each other. My father played in the Negro League.
Yeah. Wow.
My brother played at Bluffton University at
Yeah.
like college during a time period. So I had a lot of support in
Yeah.
terms of going from one school to another school. And one of the things that I can really relate to was the fact that we used to live in the projects, and then we moved from projects to 147th Street,
Yeah.
and then we moved from 147th Street to for about 4 streets over to Shaker,
Yeah.
Shaker Heights, Ohio. I went from Cleveland to Shaker Heights,
Yeah.
and from my second grade to eighth grade, I went to Shaker school system.
Yeah.
So I went to Moreland, then Onaway, and then Woodbury.
Yeah.
Then we moved back to Cleveland. Then I ended up going to John Hay.
Yeah.
And my mother was very astute and very about her surroundings. And basically, what she was doing, she was educating us.
Yeah.
Because we moved to all the schools in Cleveland, we went to John Hay. Now, in order to get to John Hay, which is off 111 off of Euclid, you had to go through, first and foremost, you had to go to Case Western Reserve,
Yeah.
right? One of the
Wow.
top 10 engineering schools in the country.
Wow.
Then next to Case Western Reserve, you had the Auto Museum, National Auto Museum.
Yeah.
Then you had the National the museum.
Yeah.
You had the Auto Museum, off of Automobile. Then you had the museum, and then you had University Hospital.
Yeah.
Then you had, before Cleveland Clinic was there, you had the Knoxville Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
All that was before I got to John Hay.
That's before you got to
My
John.
path every day walking to school.
Wow.
When school was over with, I used to go to those different places at the school
Yeah.
and get educated in our surroundings.
That's amazing.
It didn't dawn on me until as I got older that I was being educated right there, step by step in life.
You were being
And when I
coached.
got to University of Tennessee,
Yeah.
I was culturally inclined to do
Right.
things like that.
Right.
And like I said, I went to University of Tennessee, left there, and then the transition of being the first round draft choice in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Then two things dawned on me when I had to realize it was over.
Yeah.
One was when I got released from Kansas City, they brought me in, and they said you are no longer the property of Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
And that didn't register to me.
Wow.
What does that mean?
Wow.
They said you are no longer the property of Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
I'm not, basically you're fired.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute, you can't fire me. I'm the first round. I'm thinking, what do you mean you fired me? I'm fired. So it didn't register because I never thought I would be fired.
Right.
So I went to San Diego, and when I got to San Diego, the coach there was Sanders, and he was like, brought me in the room.
Yeah.
I left about 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
He wanted to know about Albert Lewis and Kevin Ross and Duran Cherry.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know about those guys.
Yeah.
We played about to get ready to play them.
Yeah.
They don't even want to know about those guys. That's like we knew. Eric Gary Green. Why are we
Why
telling
are
about
we
those
talking
guys?
about them, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to make the roster. I'm trying to. I just got hurt. So you signed me for 1 day or 2 days, whatever the case was. I went home. I'm still young. I'm 28.
Yeah.
I had a knee injury, but I have overcome the knee injury.
Yeah.
At least I thought I did, and no one signed me. Out of 28 teams during that time period, no one signed me.
Yeah.
So I went to Canada.
Yeah.
And when I was in Canada, I had got married in between off season.
Yeah.
When I was in Canada, when the game was over, in Ottawa Rough Riders, and Art Schlichter was the quarterback during the time period.
Wow.
When the game was over with, I was in the locker room. My wife came and saw me in the locker room. I had both ice packs on my knees and my ankles.
Hmm.
When she was out of it,
Yeah.
she said, "You ain't got to do this no more." She said, "You ain't got to do this no more."
That's right.
And I was like,
Your wife,
okay.
Your wife said that to you?
My wife, yeah, she said, "You ain't got to do this no more. You don't have to do this."
Wow.
So I'm like, okay. So we drove back from Ottawa. We left Ottawa the next night.
Yeah.
Drove to Canada, New York, and got back to Tennessee. When I get to Tennessee, I went to a pity party.
Yeah.
Because now I'm still,
Wow.
sort of kind of working out or trying to, still thinking I'm going to University of Tennessee when they have the scouts over there. Yeah, okay, I'll be the receiver out there. The scouts are out there.
They're gonna sign me.
With those guys.
They're gonna
I'm
sign me.
like a dummy. I'm
Yeah.
going to catch passes. I'm still letting the scouts know.
They're
I still got it, right?
They're gonna sign me.
Yeah, right. So it never happened.
That's right.
Some of my wife said, you got to get a job,
Yep.
and I said, I applied for. She said, listen. She said 28 teams in your profession told you no.
Yeah.
28 teams since you were 11 years old, basically saying we don't need your services any longer.
Right.
And I'm 29. I'm still young.
See, that's
You
tough.
mean this is what I've been doing.
That's tough.
So transition was the fact that I applied for 2 jobs.
Yeah.
One was Georgia's Palace as a stock boy.
Yeah.
Another one was a friend of hers had a job with Digital Corporation and with the Boy Scouts of America.
Yeah.
Well, the guy from Trojan Palace called me up. He said, "Are you the Anthony Hancock who went to University of Tennessee in the first round pick?" I said, "Yeah." "Are you the Anthony Hancock who, when you was drafted, you brought your parents a house in Knoxville?" I said, "Yeah." "Are you an Anthony Hancock who graduated from University of Tennessee on time and was on the front of the Knoxville?" I said, "Yeah." "Are you an Anthony Hancock who played with Reggie White?" I said, "No, Reggie White played with me. I'm
Yeah.
older than him." And then he said, "Why are you applying for a position like this?"
Right.
As a stock boy, because my father, I'll tell you this story about my father later on, but we always worked hard.
Man.
You know, we've always worked hard. I mean,
Yeah.
work was not. I had to support a family now,
It was just a part of your life.
right? So then people from Boy Scouts of America called, and I ended up being with the Boy Scouts of America for 8.5 years.
Yeah.
And during that time period, I learned about the inner city scouting programs.
Yeah.
We had 32 boys in the scouting program, and when I left there, we had over 600 kids and
Wow.
15 Eagle Scouts in 8.5 years.
Wow.
And that's because I made it African American history is world history.
Yeah.
In the scouting movement during that time period, I did research on the scouting movement. And during the scouting movement, I learned about the guy Baden Powell, the founding forefather of scouting, that he was the one who was the general behind it.
Yeah.
He was captured by the Zulu warriors. And
Yeah.
during his activity, he learned about military, coastal hunting, and tracking skills.
Yeah.
With those same concepts, he took to Great Britain in 1904. And we went over there in the United States in 1907 and called
Man,
the Boy Scouts of America.
you did your homework.
I did my homework, man, because I was excited about it.
Wow.
So the scouting came
Great
from
story, man.
history of the Zulu warriors,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then to go back even further, when they were shaking with their left hand,
Yeah.
they said, well, scouts, when they become Eagle Scouts, shake with their left hand. They said because they carry the spear in the right hand and the spear in the left hand. When you put down the spear, it's true to your friend.
Wow.
So that concept came into play.
That's
But
amazing.
still, I was like still probational period.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I can still play.
Yeah.
So one afternoon, Joe Kofer came with me and said, "Man, it's a tryout in Atlanta.
There you go.
It's a tryout in Atlanta."
Yeah.
I have been still working out. The Boy
Yep.
Scouts, the Boy Scouts didn't really know if I was going to stay with them or not because I'm still working out.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like on pins and needles.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try it out.
Yep.
So I get in the car and we get our money together and we go to Atlanta,
Yeah.
Georgia Tech Stadium.
Yep.
I was play ball at Georgia Tech Stadium. I'm
Yep.
sitting in the stands.
Yep.
I'm seeing every Tom, Dick, and Harry working out. Every big, tough, small, medium size, skinny. It was all out there.
You name it.
And I'm saying to myself, I'm sitting there from the stands watching in the end zone. I said, have I reverted myself to going from a first round pick to working out with these guys? Not saying anything was wrong with them. I'm not thrilled. I wasn't being mad. Listen, I wasn't mad at them. But I said to myself,
what am I doing here?
What am I doing here? I did. I said, what am I? I said, what am I doing here?
I'm better than this.
Didn't I get out there and I guess run a sub 4.5, something 40?
Yeah.
Then then they threw one pass. I ran an outright and got through a go route.
Yeah.
That was the only 2 pass routes they ran with me.
Wow.
You know what? It was that moment.
Yeah, that you knew.
It was that moment that I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm finished.
Yeah.
I'm finished. I have been working with the Boy Scouts about a year now.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and make that transition and I said, that's why I'm finished.
Yeah.
And it took a while.
Yep.
I had to make, but think about it. While I was making that adjustment, I was working.
Yeah.
So because I was working,
it
didn't really.
I
still had a dream.
Yeah.
And even after 4 or 5 years, I still think I can go over there and work out. And
that's right.
I see the scouts over there and say, "Yeah, I'm Anthony Hancock."
That's right.
I go some pass. Yeah, I stay in shape now. Thinking, I said maybe they'll give me a call, and I think it's changed.
Man, listen.
Once you get to a certain age, man,
you should if you get an opportunity, you should hear Bobby Butler's testimony in that arena. He played corner for Atlanta Falcons for
Right.
many years, and he was actually Dion's roommate at Florida State. And he told the story, and I just, when you get a chance, go and listen to his testimony of how they
His
let
name
him
was
go.
Bobby what again?
Bobby Butler, and how the owner, owner called him and told him, he thanked him, for his services, and he just told him, but I can still play, I can still play. And so he said he gave him a scenario where, look, I'm gonna go work out and be in shape, and I show up at camp, and if I can't make it in camp, then I'll bow out and I'll step down. And he said, the owner told him, he said, um that sounds like a good idea. I tell you what, I'll get back with you on that. And he said, Byron, this is 2025, and he ain't called me yet. And so there's so many different stories, man. Yeah,
It
resonate.
is.
I went to Atlanta and did a workout with Atlanta and stuff, and I actually signed with the Montreal Machine with the World Football League, and I was
Okay.
35, and I still ran a four. I think I still ran 4.5 at 4.4 at 35 years old, and so I went to their little combine and went to their little camp and stuff, and I went through the camp, man. My body was just, I was hurting everywhere, and they wouldn't let us get in the pool or anything like that. We couldn't ice down. And so the guy called me in and he said, Byron, he said, listen, he said, you're good enough to make this football team, and you're probably good enough to get back to the league. He said, but in order for you to get there, you're going to have to take the dream away from one of these guys who's dreaming to get there. That's number one. Number two, you're going to have to play both ways. You're gonna have to play. You're gonna have. He said you're gonna have to play offensive receiver. You're gonna have to play kickoff return. You have to do kickoff coverage, and he looked at me and I looked at him and I was like, no, I think this is
Nah.
it. He said, I'll write a letter for you. You've been great. You've done a great job here. You've really been an example. You really kind of so that's when I knew that I was actually gonna let it go.
So that's when the World Football League was just not coming to the,
It was
you had the
it,
USFL football team, the
It,
World
it
Football
was the
League.
world. It was the World Football League. It was the USFL. I think USFL started in like 82, 83, 84.
83. That's because Reggie White went there with
Right, right,
he
right,
went there
right,
to
right.
the Memphis Showboats.
Because watch this. Jim Kelly would have been the quarterback at Buffalo while I was there, and I would have been wearing that yellow jacket instead of Andre Reed.
Yeah.
So Jim Kelly goes to Houston, and he stays in Houston while I'm still at Buffalo. And then by the time I leave Buffalo, I get traded to Seattle. Then Kelly comes in, and they start throwing that thing all over the place. So timing is everything.
It
And
is.
so let's do this. Let's talk a little bit
But you're right.
about.
That's why I got timing is everything because I had been out. We played with Buffalo,
Yeah,
and when we got to Buffalo, um, JT Smith got hurt on the kickoff,
yeah,
and I was on the field because we were both on kickoff return.
yeah,
And he had got hurt, and they go in, so I went in, and I started playing starting during the time period wide receiver,
yeah.
and I went out for an out route, and I made that cut and turned, and that was it. I tore my posterior cruciate.
Wow.
Nobody touched me.
Same thing.
Nobody landed on me.
Yeah,
It happened just like that on Buffalo Field
yeah,
on a 44-yard line.
yeah. Well,
And that's how, and that, matter of fact, that was the last time I actually ran.
well.
So the next year, when I finally got healed, Duran Cherry was able to cover me one-on-one. We had one-on-one practice in
and,
practice.
and he
Duran
was
Cherry was landing.
he
Duran
was.
Cherry, doggone safety, was trying to check me one-on-one.
That's
He
what
was
I'm.
virtually doing it too.
That's
I knew
right.
I was understand.
That's right.
I knew, yeah.
Yep.
Duran Cherry was trying to check me one-on-one
Yep.
from Rutgers, a punter from
Yep.
Rutgers.
Yep.
And he was challenging me too.
And he was a big guy.
I knew I was understand.
Yeah, yeah, because he was a safety. Safeties can't
Yeah,
come down.
safety.
They can't come in the fast lane and cover.
No.
They can't do that, man.
Wait a minute. Not only that, he was not going to punt in college
That's
at
right.
Rutgers.
Yeah,
If it wasn't for Gary Barbaro sitting out during a time period, I don't think Duran would have had that position.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
Gary Barbaro set up doing free agency during a time period,
That's right.
and so the management decided to go ahead and put Duran back there
Yeah,
with Lloyd Burrows and Kevin Ross and
yeah.
Albert Green.
Kevin
And when
Ross.
Gary came back, when Gary came back, Durano's, they made him all pro. They took him from a punter
Yeah,
to Rutgers and made him all pro in 1 year.
that's great.
Just to prove a point. That's
Kevin,
why I know that what happened to my boy Sanders.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
If they want to go ahead and move you up, they'll move you up. But
Kevin
anyway, go
Ross.
ahead. Let's talk.
I haven't heard that name, Kevin Ross, since we played since I was in Seattle. They
He
ran
was a temple. He was a temple.
listen, they ran a naked quick screen to me against Kevin Ross. That dude was quick as lightning, man.
Yeah, he came with Scunion too.
And I kept thinking, man, why are they running this quick screen to me out here with no help, man? This dude is lightning. They expected me to beat this guy. This dude is lightning fast, man. And so I was just always, I remember that name because I was so frustrated about the fact that I couldn't get away from him
Right,
on a quick screen, He always lined up off. And because of me, if he don't get off on me and you by yourself, I'm gone. And so he always
right,
lined
right,
up
right.
off. So I ran the quick step back and everything. But he was so quick I couldn't get away from him.
Yeah,
So,
and
but
Kevin was quick. Yeah.
let's talk about this.
Okay,
Let's
talk to me.
let's talk to me about what was the best part of helping you to make the change and transition out. What helped you the most?
Um.
Aside from your wife, because it sounded like to me she had a
Oh
big
yeah, she made it. Yeah,
part.
I was always, as I was growing up, I always had religious habits.
Yeah.
When I say that, before track meets, I used to write Psalms 23
Wow.
7 times and put in my track shoes, or
Woo.
put in my football shoes before
Woo.
games. So I always had a understanding about who God was in
Yeah.
my growth and development as a young person.
Yeah.
And Philippians 4:13 during the time period says that I can do all things in Christ
All
that strengthens.
things. Yes, sir.
And when I was going through this transition, as I was struggling, one day I sat down and meditated.
Mm.
And what came to me was sometimes you have to go back in order for you to go forward.
Woo.
So I went back to verse 13.
Yeah.
And it says, I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty.
Woo.
I learned the secret of being content in any every situation,
Yeah.
whether well fed or in hunger, whether in need or in want, is that I can do all things in Christ that strengthens.
Man.
So that was a nucleus in terms of, okay, my plan is already, God had the plan already before me. I just need to follow the path.
Yeah.
In doing that, I'm not saying I was a religious guru because
No.
I did everything under the sun per se.
Yeah.
I just probably never got caught.
Yeah.
But especially,
Yeah.
I understood where my strength comes from.
Yeah.
I understand the growth and development in terms of one time it was an article that I read about Kenny G. And Kenny G was sigma cum laude.
Yeah.
Then Kenny G said this. He said, some things you just do for your mother.
Wow.
So am I growing up? I said some things I had to do for my parents.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I was there, not necessarily a role model, but I was a reflection of our community, of my house, of Anthony Hancock getting caught with drugs, Anthony Hancock getting drunk driving. No.
Can't go out like that. Can't go out like that.
No. My parents were too hard for me to be where I was at. For me, 500 miles away, if Coach Major's doing any better, he would have had them come to every game because whenever they came 500 miles to Cleveland, Ohio,
yeah,
two things going to happen. One, showtime.
Yeah.
And two, the next day, when the papers come out, my name's going to be in it.
That's right.
That's a gimme.
That's it.
My parents ain't traveling 500 miles. The next day when the paper come out, my name ain't going to be in it. He's going to be in it.
That's right.
It's showtime.
That's right.
Something's going to happen when they come to see me fight.
Yeah.
Because it's that pride
that
you have.
That's right.
That sacrifice that they made.
That's right.
So this story right here is the epitome of what occurred. So when I was coming out of high school, or coming out of college, we're going to my freshman year, December 19th. Now, I wasn't a tutor, good tutor. My girlfriend was pregnant, and she had a baby.
Yeah.
So I had to go to school many terms.
That's right.
And when I got back, I caught the plane, came back on December 19th. Got off the plane, my friend met me, Sam McClain, drove to the hospital, saw my baby.
Yeah.
I said, my baby girl.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? This is it. I'm not going to go to the University of Tennessee. I just finished my freshman year.
Wow.
7 catches, 122 yards.
Yeah.
I had just finished. This was December. And I said, I ain't going to go back. So my friend took me back home. My father worked at Ford Motor Company.
Yeah.
the casting division.
Yeah.
And he would, get home late night.
Oh, yes,
So they
sir.
knew I was, so I got home about 11 o'clock. And then my father got home about 1 o'clock in the morning. But he knows it was payday. He came home and, he bought some chicken wings, hot sauce wings, and potato pie. Then
Yeah.
I came downstairs, me, my mother, my father sitting there eating, chicken wing, just talking about, my freshman year and,
Yeah.
how, just at home. I'm
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
But then I said, you know what? I said, they knew I had just had a baby.
Yeah.
I was excited about that.
Yeah.
And I said to my father and mother, I said, I'm not going back to University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come work with you, Dad,
Yeah.
at Ford.
No, sir.
My mother and father, they sat there eating the chicken wings and eating the sweet potato pie. And I'm sitting there just chilling. They ain't say nothing.
No.
They say Jack. I say, okay. But the next day, my father goes to work at 3 o'clock. So he said, well, come on, go to work with me.
Yeah.
So we had to drive the car to the rapid transit system.
Yeah.
And then from there, we had to get on the rapid,
Yep.
mass transit. And we drove down to Brook Park.
Yep.
There's a big sign there, Brook Park. It's the FRD, Ford.
Yeah.
Jokes, found on the road, dead.
Yeah.
Fix or
Fix or repair daily. Yeah.
yeah, right. This is it. This is where I'm gonna be working.
Yeah.
So I get down, I'm walking through the factory per se, and I see a display table.
Yeah.
On the right hand side.
Yeah.
I look at it. I said, wait a minute, that's my track medals.
That's you.
Those are my football trophies.
Yeah.
That's my what are they doing in the display case here at Ford Motor Company?
Yeah.
My father works. They should be at my house where my parents live.
Right. Right.
Okay. So I'm walking through the, getting ready to go to the locker room. And then I see some of his friends. They say, hey, you Bud Hancock's son, you down in Tennessee. At the time, they would have to give me $5 a lot of money back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
They would say, man, we proud of you. And they would give me $5.
Yeah.
And they just got paid the day before. So it was giving me money. So, okay, and I was cool. I'm thinking, okay. I said, what's going on here? I don't know these guys.
Yeah.
But they knew my dad.
Yeah.
So my locker room, father's locker room, my locker room, helmet, shoulder pad, elbow pad, football cleats.
At Ford Motor Company.
Father's locker room,
God.
suit, helmet, earplugs, goggles, gloves, steel-toe shoes, knee pads.
At Ford.
Similar, but different.
Yeah.
My playing field, 100 yards, go run passes, catch them. Do push-ups if you miss one. Go back, drink of water, 3-4 hours a day. Father's playing field, conveyor belt, coming off the conveyors, hot metal pouring down lava.
Sparks.
Into these melting pots, taking it. He used to pick them up, dip them, throw them away. Pick them up, dip them, throw it away. Pick them up, dip them, throw it away. 8 hours a day.
That's amazing.
Similar, but different.
Different.
Class over, practice over. I go down to the locker room, go to the study hall, eat, hang out with my friends, go to tutoring, get ready the next day. Father, change clothes, go to the local tavern, get a beer, get on the rapid, go home to his wife, his wife, my mom.
Come back and do the same thing the next day.
You know what? January 1st, my butt was coming back to Knoxville, Tennessee. January 1st, my butt was back in Knoxville, Tennessee on Greyhound bus day. Man. In the next 4 years, I never went back to Cleveland.
That's a beautiful story.
I never went. And I learned that whenever you engage in work that serves humanity and for the building of humanity, it has dignity and has worth. Man. All labor has dignity. Man. I learned that for King. But you know what? All labor has dignity. So what my father did, that was what he did to support his family.
Yeah.
He wanted me not to work hard, but he wanted me to work smart.
Right.
And being in that factory, what was the hope of me going to school if I had to work in the factory? Not saying nothing wrong with it, but he did what he did to raise a family. So my contribution was then for me to finish school and be the best citizen I can be.
Go as far as you could go.
And be a productive citizen.
Yeah.
In terms of bringing somebody else along. Because you can't keep it to yourself.
No.
You got to show your wealth.
Yeah.
And your wealth is not financial. Man, your wealth is your knowledge.
Man,
your knowledge.
This is awesome, man. I gotta stop you and go in another direction because, man, we'll be here all night.
Talk to me. Talk to me. I'm good. Go ahead. Talk to me.
So tell me about
I hope
ministry
I hope
now.
I answered that question.
No, you answered it. Yeah, man. I listen. It's beautiful. Tell me about ministry and tell me about your family and tell
Okay.
me about ministry.
Okay. So I have two daughters,
Yeah,
two grandsons, and one great granddaughter.
yeah,
Both my children were born before I was married.
yeah.
I've been married for my wife 37 years. She's
Okay.
been a stepmother of both my children.
Yeah,
They're hers.
yeah,
Okay, they're hers.
yeah.
Uh, her name is Paul. She's from Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
Trinity makes the world takes. She does. Not, she went to William Woods College.
Yeah,
She don't play.
yeah,
She
yeah.
does not play.
She sounded like she
She's a
don't play.
Jersey
When,
girl.
when she walked in on you with all that ice on you and she looked at you and said, "You ain't got to do this no more," that told me everything I needed to know about
Yeah,
her.
yeah. She don't. Yeah, she don't play. So, um, we have an incredible relationship. You know,
Yeah,
she loves the Lord.
yeah,
She's a deaconess in the church.
yeah.
I go to Foster Chapel Missionary Baptist Church with Pastor Joseph Talbot is my pastor.
I got you.
And I serve as the pastor of a deacon there.
Okay.
Um, basically, we try to make disciples,
Yeah,
which we are commissioned to do.
that's what we're supposed to
Make
do.
disciples.
Yep, that's right.
That's it.
Yeah,
I mean, all the other fluff don't mean nothing. Bottom
yeah.
line is the fact that what are you doing to bring somebody to Christ,
That's right. That's right.
or at least know the Lord for themselves, one on
Yeah.
one.
A lot of people don't
So,
realize. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize when we got the mandate to be fruitful and multiply, that was not per se about multiplying in numbers per se. It was about multiplying who we were in Christ over and over again. It was
spirituality.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. It
yes.
was about becoming who we're called to be, and then go out and cause that to multiply in others, and
Right.
to grow the family of Christ, or grow the body of Christ. So, yeah, man, this is listen.
So yeah, and she like I say 37 years. She's retiring.
Okay,
She's retiring May June 30th. She retired. I
okay,
retired 2 years ago,
okay.
and I'm a homebody. She has breakfast in the morning.
Yeah,
She has fix her lunch for her,
yeah.
dinner's ready for her, clothes washed. Her
So
requirement was
we've been
whatever I'm going to do, it
domesticated.
got to be only requirement is between the time I leave and the time I get home. You can do whatever you want to do. But when I get home, I expect you to be here.
So we've been
That's simple.
domesticated. We've been domesticated, haven't we? We do
I
laundry.
can,
We
but I
cook
can,
cook
I mean, what's
cook
gonna do after
breakfast and all
5:30?
kind of stuff.
I mean, what I'm gonna do after 5:30? I mean, if I ain't gonna be doing it with you, what else I'm gonna do? If I can't do it between that and 5:30, what's the okay? You already told me you gave my freedom. You took my shackles off. No,
That's
it is
all.
you really. We have a really, really keen relationship.
Yeah,
Her, I guess I got into ministry because, in terms of this ministry we have at church, bereavement ministry.
yeah.
And the bereavement ministry is a really, really special ministry
Well, that's
because
serious. Yeah,
people don't know how people grieve.
yeah,
And bereavement just means death. It can be loss of jobs,
yeah,
it can be loss of limbs,
yeah.
it can be loss of finances, loss of
Relationship,
loved ones.
relationship. Yeah,
There are there's different types of trauma people go through.
yeah,
Someone being killed is
yeah,
trauma. It traumatizes you.
yeah,
Um, and everybody has different cycles that
yeah,
they go through and how they deal with it. It never goes away.
yeah,
You cannot say I'm gonna grieve for a month or I'm gonna grieve
yeah,
for 2 months.
yeah,
It's forever.
yeah, yeah. Well, we've
It's
been.
I mean you got to learn how to. I don't even say manage it, but
Yeah.
uh, it's reality.
Well,
You can't put a pin on it.
yeah,
What you can only do is encourage people to let them find out for God for themselves
yeah,
and how does God is working with them.
yeah,
And that's the most important thing. He's a sovereign God, merciful God. And
yeah.
he never leaves you.
That's
That's
right.
why I say you are never alone.
Yeah. Well, we have
No,
the
man,
we have the great Comforter, the Holy Spirit. He's called the
that's right.
Comforter for a reason because he's there to comfort us and give us peace, and that's why the Scriptures talks about the fact that God supplies a peace that surpasses all understanding.
Oh, I understand. There you go.
So,
That's
so
good.
there's a peace that he supplies and provides that really the Holy Spirit is there to comfort us in a level of loss, especially loss, because we were never supposed to experience death. Death is supernatural. That's something that only occurred after the fall of man in the garden. Had the man
Mm-hmm.
had man not fallen in the garden, we would never even be experiencing death.
Nope, 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 nope.
So
You're right.
so
That's it.
so
That's a good word.
so God knew that we would need something to really help us in those times when we experience that spiritual loss, which we were never supposed to experience. So we have the Holy Spirit, the comforter, the one that resides on the inside of us, and greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world.
That's
But he
right.
also supplies a peace that surpasses all understanding,
That's
because there's
right.
a supernatural loss in loss of life. And so, yeah, God supplies that. And you know,
Supernatural,
even
absolutely.
grief, it is a spirit. And if you allow that spirit to stay on, it's one thing to sorrow, you know, it's one thing to mourn. The Bible talks about mourning, because he said the scriptures are clear that, you know, we're to mourn with those who mourn and celebrate with those who celebrate.
Those who celebrate, yes.
And then there is sorrow. Sorrow is an emotion that we experience when we have dealt with some kind of loss of some kind. But now grief is a spirit. And if you allow grief to stay on you and in you, then it can do damage. It can do serious damage to you.
So it's interesting because my daily word was today was says, my child, I am a supernatural God. There's nothing impossible for me. When some basic needs is lacking, time, energy, and money, consider yourself blessed. Health and wealth can disappear instantly, as your life itself. Rejoice in this insignificance, knowing that my supernatural power is the perfect fit in your weakness, said the
Wow.
Lord.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you start saying supernatural, we're on the same accord.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Yes,
Hey,
yes,
we're
God, yes.
our strength, his strength is made, our, what is it? Our weakness is made strong in
When
his
we are
strength.
weak,
Our weakness is made strong in him.
that's
So
right.
when we're, yeah, so, you know, it's just a matter of turning
And
things
that's
over.
and that's what Paul talks about too.
That's what Paul talks about.
Paul, when the guys couldn't figure out what was going on, Paul
Yep.
said he anointed those 12
That's
with
right.
with the Holy Spirit.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's a super,
speaking
and
to
that,
the
so that's the
senses.
supernatural life, man. That's the life. The Holy Spirit has been given to us to live above the natural, the
Yes, you have
supernatural
to.
life.
Right.
And so, yeah, man. Well, look, I'm not gonna, we can keep going. We might have to do a part two.
That'll work.
I can't tell you how great it's been, man. That it really,
Oh, I am truly blessed that you
because
reached out
watch
to me.
this, we've never really talked. We've just
Oh,
known each other.
conversion. Can you right?
Yeah, we just not that same thing with Roland James. I feel like
Yeah.
Roland and I are close friends. Of course, we talk a little bit because of my son as well. But man,
But you
I
know what?
just
Because we understand the when I say sacrifice, we understand what it's like to go 3 days
we've
or
been
2 days.
there. We've been
We
through the
understand how
same
being in a
thing.
locker room and you Jonah
Right,
and you're gonna get Joan.
right,
I want to
right,
be honest with you, man.
right. They're
Some
gonna eat you
people
up.
out here, the average person can't handle Jonah.
That's right. Oh no.
No, no, you don't know. You don't understand. My wife sometimes she some some other deacons, some other guys may be mad and they take her personal
They
and
can't. They
they,
can't.
they want to go tell a pastor on me.
Two
My
things.
wife said, you got to quit doing that.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
they can't handle
They can't.
you showing. Because we with your boys, man.
But that's a
Don't
different world. That's a
when
part
you
of
with
it.
your boys, you gotta laugh.
That's a part of it. That's a
That's
part
part of
of
your.
the environment and the culture
And
that
another thing, if
we had that you don't
and
have out here.
you know how you accept it, and you're around your peers.
Yeah.
If you gotta have a nickname.
That's it. That's it.
if you if they don't give you a nickname, you ain't real.
You ain't real. You're not real, man. Look.
You
If
ain't
you don't have no nickname, you ain't. Oh, listen. If you don't have a nickname, you are not a part of the team yet.
that's it.
You're not. You ain't a part of
Shasha
the team, man. And watch this.
Shasha Rooster, Shasha Rooster, Real to Real, Shasha, uh, Golden Boy. If you ain't got if they don't give you a nickname,
You ain't on the
you
team. Listen, it's two things. Number one, if you don't have you don't get a nickname until you make a play.
right.
Listen, if you ain't made no play, you don't qualify for no nickname. And if you ain't made no play in a game, man,
You know what? You know what? I never thought about it like that.
if you ain't made no play,
you know what? I never thought about it like that.
if you
If you
ain't
don't
made
make
no play, if you ain't made a play,
if you just on the team,
if you just on the team, you don't qualify for no nickname, man.
they call you by your regular name.
They call you by your regular name if they call you at all. So that's like when you leave and go to a place, man. Like I got traded from Buffalo to Seattle. Well, I was at Seattle, man. I'm trying to think. I don't remember what game it was, man, but they threw me the ball. I made a play, man. It was against San Diego. And man, I caught that thing and I was gone, man. And all of a sudden, everybody started joking with me and laughing and talking to me and stuff. But before then, I was a stranger in that room. You hear me?
Yes.
I was a stranger, man, because I hadn't done anything to improve the situation that we were all in. But until
Right.
you do something that improves the situation, or improves oh, that's good. Improve the community, improve the house, improve
There
some
you go.
part, some aspect of
Right.
life. You sent there to improve stuff, man. And if you don't improve it, you ain't made no play. And if
Yes,
you
there you
ain't made
go.
and if you ain't made no play, you don't get no nickname.
You know, I also ran for state representative too.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that in itself was it was good.
Good experience.
I got 39% first time out,
Yeah.
and the guy had he had 13,000 votes. I had 9,600 first
That's
time
pretty
running
that's pretty
in
good.
all red district.
Yeah.
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 So and you know, and something Coach Majors did a commercial with me,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
endorsed me during a
Yeah.
time period,
Yeah.
and it was just you know, but you have to be an advocate. And then
Yeah.
from there, Boy Scouts of America, Tennessee Department of Transportation,
Yeah.
became a school teacher.
You've done a good job, man.
Um, yeah, it was just, you know, life has just been great.
Yeah.
And you know, I ain't got no complaints. We
Well,
have
I
no other
know
way.
that. Well, life ain't got no complaints with you either, man.
Well, thank you for what you're doing in terms of this. What was it? Podcast? That
Yeah,
was
the
called
podcast. Yeah, the
podcast.
shoulder pad,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna research. I like this. I think this is something I can really get into.
well, let me tell you what. They normally air the first Friday of every month. You can go on every podcast venue and you can pull up the shoulder pad and you'll be able to listen to them.
I looked
Yeah.
at it right. I
Yeah,
looked at
yeah.
it.
So I'm gonna get this one out, man, and hopefully we can get this
So
thing
so
out.
so do you do a subscription to this?
Yeah, yeah. You can like it and share, and then
No, I'm talking about in terms of you actually having starting one. How did you know you have to
you just started.
you started?
You just started. You just
There a
start
cost
one.
with it?
Yeah,
Is there a cost with it?
just the cost of whatever you need for as far as equipment and stuff to get set up, which is little or nothing. You need an interface, audio interface, and you need
I got a
microphones.
phone right here.
Well,
I'm good.
when you got a phone now, I mean, it's more than a phone. I mean, I'm just saying, you kind of want it to be a little professional. And,
Yes,
I had
definitely.
my set up and stuff, but I had all of this stuff back here, just stuff I had. You got more stuff in your closet that you can use to set this thing up, man. I mean, it's
I
it's
got more
simple.
stuff in my shed.
That's what I'm
You know,
saying. That's what I'm saying, man. It's a vehicle that you can use, man. Pray and ask God what it is you can do to make a difference, and you reach, man. You can reach tons of people. You can reach tons of people. You can reach more people than you would be able to reach by going out and walking from faith and meeting people face to face. And
Right.
so, I think that's a part of when Jesus said, "These works I do, ye shall do, and greater works shall you do." And I think that the greater works part is we'll have access to be able to reach more people and do more things from a perspective of outreach. You know what I'm saying? So so I
Low
think
key outreach because
yeah,
people nowadays they use media
yeah, it's
to
this
reach
it's there's more people that watch this than watch TV. That
you
TV
know
they
this I guess this is what they call is it Generation Z now?
I don't know what I don't know what it is X Y Z M. I don't know what it is, man.
XYZ I don't know. They
Yeah,
just like really.
it's all good. But look,
Yes.
Anthony, man, I love you. I appreciate you, man. And thank you so much for being on the shoulder
Well,
pad.
you and your family will definitely be in our prayers as to continue to move forward in your endeavors,
Yeah,
being successful as you are. And this has
yeah,
been a fantastic. Thank you again.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, we're gonna talk some more because
oh,
we got to talk
definitely.
about my son Bradley.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you know, like I said, you know, University of Tennessee's track coach, he's already got a couple guys in Olympics already.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we can get him down here. I'm quite sure the track coach, I think the women got 1 and 2 in the NCAAs,
yeah, yeah,
the girls. So
yeah,
he's a heck of a hurler coach.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. And
Wow.
that's why I've been trying to, from day one, been trying to get him down here in terms of then recruiting him. I need to go back and over there and you know what? We're 40 years removed.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
yeah,
Because you know, you're talking about we're 40 years from the top of being there and running track, and we have what 7 head coaches, 4
yeah,
athletic directors,
yeah,
6 presidents. They don't understand who we are.
yeah. They don't,
I
but that's
mean,
okay.
we're dinosaurs.
That's okay.
We don't got no NIL money. We can't bring no money
No,
to.
man, don't even, I don't even want to hear nothing about no NIL, man. Think about we would have made more money in college than we made in the pros.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Isn't
Turn
it
around.
crazy? Hey,
That's
listen,
crazy.
I got all
He
kind
ain't
of
playing,
connections.
he ain't playing a down of football yet.
Man, and
He
getting
ain't playing
millions
a
of dollars.
down
You
yet.
ain't played in the pros one snap, and you already getting $2 or $3 million.
Oh, wait a minute. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. This is so ironic. So I was running track, right?
Yeah,
So my senior year, I go to compound camp.
yeah,
Okay. So the compound camp, $330
yeah.
before they gave us the compound camp to cover our costs of meals and stuff like that. The compound camp,
Yeah,
you know. I get back, I'm eligible to run track my senior year
yeah.
because I took $330 from the NFL.
You ain't uneligible.
I became ineligible.
Wow, that's right.
So my senior year running track, I didn't have no, I couldn't run because I was ineligible because I received money
Yeah,
from the NFL.
yeah.
$330.
Man,
I had been there for 3 years, 4 years, going on my fourth year,
right,
getting ready to run track. We was ready for the NCAA everything.
right, right.
Run. My track coach is so mad at me. And I was like, I'm thinking I'm going to football, camp.
That's all.
That's all I was doing.
Yeah,
Compound camp.
yeah.
Come to find out, if I knew what I knew now, I would have said, you know what, you need to write this check to my mama.
That's right. That's right.
Take it out my name. Don't give
That's
it to
right.
me.
Yeah,
Give it to my mama.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then I would be eligible.
I got it.
Yeah, but that's crazy. That's $330.
Well,
That's my
I I gave up my senior track season for playing in the Senior Bowl or either the Blue Gray or the Senior Bowl. They paid us 50.
Blue Great Bowl. Yeah,
They
senior.
they paid us to play in that game, and so
Yeah.
from far as I was concerned, hey man, it's time to go. And so I gave up my final year of eligibility with Auburn's track team for the same thing. And every time I would see Coach Rosen for years, he would always say to me, Franklin, you got one more year eligibility.
Well, they tell me that too. I do.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah,
want to run
yeah.
now.
Yeah, but it was just, it was just a time for us. So my connections with UT is this, man. Aside from the fact that my best friend went and I almost went up there, I scored my very first college touchdown in Neyland Stadium. That was my first touchdown. I scored my first touchdown in
Wow.
Neyland. That's right.
Wow.
And then years later, man, I came after I finished coaching. I mean, after I finished playing, I went to Auburn to finish up school. And while I was there, a guy by the name of Joe Champy asked me to come and work with the women's basketball program. And so I told him, I said, Coach, I don't know nothing about working with women's basketball. He said, well, come to practice and look. And I went in there, man. He was yelling at them girls and stuff, man. He had one of them crying. I said, oh, yeah, I can do this. So I started as a volunteer assistant with the women's basketball program. And I stayed with them for 2 or 3 years. And during that period of time, I got connected with and got a chance to meet and get to know Pat Summitt. And so I had a chance to get to know Pat, man, and I've talked to her all the time. And she would ask me, she's like, yo, you going to stay in women's basketball? What are you going to do? That kind of thing. And I think, really, I was talking to, she was like the Bear Bryant of women's basketball. And so
Definitely.
she could get you, at the time I wasn't thinking about it, but I think what she was doing was she was asking to want to know if I wanted to stay in it because she was going to help me. She was going to help me get involved with it and stay in it. And my dad was a basketball coach.
Okay.
He was a basketball coach, football coach. He was a head coach of all black high school. And so coaching was something that I saw all my life, and so I kind of gravitated toward it right after I got done playing. And it kind of helped me make the transition as well, So I got a lot of connections, man, with UT, man, and just you guys and relationships that I've had with you guys, man, it's just been great. And I appreciate you. And so I'm going to close up with this, man. I appreciate you, and I'm going to be praying for you and your family. And just remember one thing, everything is football, and it's always game time.
Game time.
All right, man.
Hey, God bless you and your family, too. Okay.
You too, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, be good.
And if it all falls down, we can put it back together again.